All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the In Demand Hairstylist podcast. I have this message that I want to share today, and I was sort of like, who do I direct this towards? Is this like more of a message for hairstylists? Is this more of a message for salon owners? But I'm going to go ahead and say that this specifically, although it's good for anybody to hear and listen to, because I think it absolutely applies to everybody, whether you are a hairstylist or not a hairstylist, or working for somebody or not working for somebody. But my message today, I'm going to speak specifically to salon owners that have teams. And I'll tell you why, because today I had the awesome pleasure of sitting and grabbing coffee with two hairstylists who are on to bigger and better things in their career. And, I got some amazing feedback from them, and just the conversation that we had around leadership. And then a couple of hours later, I had a coaching call with one of my clients, and she's an amazing salon owner who is growing a team, and just some of the leadership skills that she has displayed are just so impressive. And it just speaks volumes to how her business is going to grow because of who she is in her business and how she's showing up. And that's why I wanted to talk today about leadership as a salon owner. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there and say that leadership is probably one of the most important, if not the most important thing that you can work on within yourself and within your business, more important than your finances. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. This is how strongly I believe in it, because your finances are a reflection of your own leadership within your business. It all comes back down to your leadership. And if you are a salon owner who has team members who are walking out, it comes down to your leadership. If you have employees who are being disrespectful of you or the salon, it comes down to your own leadership. If you have financial issues within your business, it comes down to your own leadership. If you have challenges with getting people to work at your salon, it comes down to your own leadership. It really comes down to you. And I think that's just the place that I want to start out with today, is that successful businesses happen when the leader of the business, the owner of the business, steps into their leadership. And so it's not that you need to know everything. If you talk to any CEO of any company, most of the time they're pretty laid back people who will tell you that they just took action, they figure it out, they make mistakes, they adjust and pivot, and they figure it out again. And, although every personality may be different, leadership comes down to taking ownership. And to have a successful business that is growing and thriving, so you can have a business and not have leadership, but there's likely going to be lots of struggles in it. Thriving, growing companies have really great leadership. They have great people who are leading the company. And that's what I want to talk about today, and just some of the characteristics of a really great leader and as somebody who's expressing leadership. So first of all, I want to tell you that everybody has the ability to be a leader. I honestly do believe that everybody has the ability to be a leader. So maybe right now you don't feel qualified, or you don't feel like you're in the position that you could ever lead a team, or that you're good enough to hire employees, or that you're good enough to grow a team. Maybe you don't think that you're qualified or good enough to open a second location. Maybe you're at that place where you're growing at the seams and you don't think that you're good enough to open a second location. Everybody has the opportunity to grow into leadership. In fact, you should always be growing into your leadership. You should always, even if you're an amazing leader, there's always the next level of leadership for you. Growth is a lifelong journey. It's not this destination that we get to. Oh, I've grown and now I'm amazing. I wish that's the way it was. I wish it was this pinnacle that we just meet and we think, oh, okay, this is it. I've made it. But leadership is really, I'm trying, the word is escaping me right now, but it's a journey. Leadership is a journey. And so I look back at myself, like, so I sold my salon business almost 2 years ago in June. And I look back and I think, wow, there are so many things that I would do differently if I owned a salon today. I see the gaps in my leadership. I see areas where I failed my team and failed my business. But I also am able to recognize the areas that actually allowed me to thrive in my business and grow a thriving team and have a multi-six-figure business. I see the areas of leadership where I really took action and grew into it. And so it's this evolution. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. You are not the same owner that you were 2 years ago. As you evolve, as your team evolves, you are going to take on different leadership. Your job, the only job is not to have all of the right answers. It's to continually be committed to your own growth and your own leadership. This is what takes businesses to the next level. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that I think every salon leader should be doing in their business. 5 qualities, 5 tips for leadership within your salon that will actually help you to connect with your team, to attract new team members, to overcome challenges within your business, and to move forward in your business. Okay, so these things will help you do that. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is that one of the biggest shifts that you can make is to look at challenges as teachers. So when you have challenges in your business, shift the perspective and look at those challenges as teachers. So when you have a client who calls back and starts complaining about their hair, your immediate reaction may be, this is a pain in the ass. I don't want to be dealing with this right now. Who do I get to blame for this? Who messed up this client's hair? But really how you get to shift is you get to think of this as a teaching opportunity. This challenge is teaching me something. So when you experience pressure in your business, I want you to ask yourself this question: what am I learning from this? What lesson am I taking away from this? What is this situation trying to teach me right now? These are all really great questions. So the minute that you feel the trigger of blame, where you want to blame somebody else, or this sucks, this is hard, I don't want to do this, when you feel any of those things, that should be the red flag, the trigger, the slap on the wrist that triggers the response of, what should I be learning from this situation right now? What lesson can I take away from this? What am I learning in this moment right now? And that is going to radically shift how you operate in your business and how you operate with your team. It's called radical ownership. It's like taking the ownership. And that leads me to number 2, which is always be willing to take the blame. So how many of you as salon owners know that it's very frustrating sometimes? Things happen in your business and you feel like you love your team, but you also want to kill your team at the same time. Like you love them and you hate them because like things happen and you're like, oh my gosh, didn't we talk about this already? Oh my gosh, like I already told you about this. Oh my gosh, like I taught you that. Why did you do it this way? Right? How many of you know that you've been in this situation where you teach your team something, you share something with them, they know what it is, but they mess up. And then it results in maybe a challenge in your business, whether that's an upset client or that the money or the salon loses out on money because of a mistake that was made. And you immediately want to say, well, this person messed it up. It's because so-and-so did this. anytime you are wanting or feel the need to, or feel the impulse to blame somebody on your team, I want you to stop and be willing to take the blame. I'm not saying you're wrong or you're right. I'm just saying great leaders are able to always take ownership. They're always able to look at a situation and say, what part did I play in this situation? It doesn't matter if you were there or not there, because everything is a reflection of your team. The situations that happen within your salon is always a reflection of your leadership. So if that were true, let's just play for a second and say 100% of the time, 100% of the time when there's a breakdown in your salon, there is something that you could have done to prevent it. Let's just play that for a second. Even if you weren't there, even if you have taught this, even let's just say that there was something that you could take ownership for. That's how you need to look at every upset, every challenge, everything that happens within your salon. What part did I play in this? And so that's what I mean whenever I say always be willing to take the blame. It doesn't mean that the other person or people involved don't also get to do the same thing. They also get to take responsibility and ownership of the part they played. But what is this saying? It's like 100% of the time. I don't even know what it is. It's like, when there's a disagreement, you played 50% in it, you played 50% in it. No, when you have radical leadership, you come to the situation and say, I 100% take ownership of this situation. And guess what? The other person gets to say, I 100% get to take ownership of this situation. And that, my friends, is when massive, massive breakthrough happens and massive momentum happens, is when everybody is taking 100% responsibility for everything that happens in the salon. What part did I play in this? Especially, doubly, triply, if you are the owner of the salon, the leader of the salon. You get to say, I take 100% ownership 100% of the time. I take 100% ownership 100% of the time. And you know why that's hard is because it sucks. It sucks to be held accountable. It sucks to have ownership. And not everybody is meant for that position. This is why if you're going to be a salon owner, you have to be willing to have the mentality. If you're going to be a business owner in general, you have to be willing to have this mentality, or else you're going to get stopped. And if you're not going to get stopped, you're going to be miserable in your business because you're going to be blaming everybody else for everything. You're going to constantly be stressed out, and stressed out leads to resentment in your business. Resentment leads to poor results in your business. And, it just ends up being a disaster. When you take ownership in your business, 100% ownership in your business, that means you have control of how it can go. Yes, it may have went south for a minute, but I have the ability to turn this thing around because I take 100% ownership of it. It's challenging to do. And somebody who has ego in the way might listen to this and be like, this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. This is ridiculous. It's not my fault. Even if I said, I take what part, I didn't take part in this. That's ego talking. Anytime you can't look at a situation and say, how could I have done something better? That's your ego. Your ego is getting in the way, and there's no room for ego in a business. There's no room for ego when you're leading people. There's just not. So the third thing that I want to share with you is that your results are your feedback. So if lately or in your business, you're having hiccup after hiccup, headache after headache, stress after stress, challenge after challenge, it's time to take a step back and really look at, what am I doing in my business? What am I doing or not doing within my business and with my team that is causing these results? Because your results will always be your feedback. Your results are always telling a story. They don't lie. If you're having upset clients one after another every single week, that's feedback for you. That is, you don't need to ask any questions. Your feedback is that clients are calling upset every single week. So what part do you have to play in that? Are you going to blame the stylist who keeps messing up, these people's hair? Or are you going to take ownership and say that maybe you need to develop a better training program for your team? Upset clients, losing money, not being profitable. If every single month you are in the red and you're not profitable, is that going to be like, because it's slow, it's because of COVID, it's because this person isn't busy enough, it's because our clients aren't coming in as often, it's because it's slow time, it's because of, if you're blaming everything else outside of you and all around you, your results are a feedback. Those are feedback to show you that actually maybe you need to handle your finances better. Maybe I need to take ownership. Maybe I've been spending more money than actually we've been making, and I need to create a budget for myself and my business. Maybe I need help and I need to hire a bookkeeper within my business. Maybe I need to work a little more diligently on promoting the business. Maybe I need to hold my team accountable for increasing their average service ticket or rebooking their clients. What part do I get to play on increasing my revenue so that we're profitable? And when you are in that place of radical ownership, like, possibilities start to happen. So when you're in this place of blaming, it's like you don't have control of that. But when you take ownership of it, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So number 3 is your results are your feedback. Even if nobody comes to you and says, hey, maybe you could do this better, you don't need that, because your results are going to tell you. So my question for you right now is, are you happy with the results that you're having with your team and in your salon right now? If the answer is yes, surprise, like, things are actually going really, really great. We're making money. Like, we have a waiting list of clients. Like, my team seems happy. Like, kudos to you, because that means that you are doing something right. That means that you're shining in your leadership. It means that you're showing up to the plate. It means that you're treating people well. It means that, you're creating this great business that people want to come to and support and spend their money at. Like, kudos. The flip side of understanding and taking ownership of where you may be wrong is taking ownership of where you may be right. What are you doing awesome in your business? What are you doing right in your business? Where are you seeing success in your business? That is really the flip side of this, is stop and give yourself credit where credit is due. Sometimes you're a much better leader than you ever give yourself credit for. And here's the truth about it, is all of us are somewhere in the middle there, right? We all have great things about our leadership, and we all have things that we need to work on in our leadership. The magic piece, though, is being self-aware enough and coachable enough that you recognize and can decipher both. Give yourself credit and grace where you're doing give yourself credit where you're doing amazing, and give yourself grace where you're not, and take action in correcting the areas and getting better in the areas where you may struggle a bit, and give yourself praise and reward yourself for the things that you're doing really, really well in your business. And that is the place where you can be super self-aware, that you can recognize both. And the 5th thing that I want to share with you is, this is huge if you're a leader in the salon, is one of the most important things that you can do in your business is admit when you're wrong, apologize, take ownership and apologize for the areas that you've been wrong. If you're a stylist that's listening to this, if you've ever had a really humble leader, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had a boss that's like, you know what, I thought about this and I thought how this all went down, and I realized that I could have done this better. You know what, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that until this situation happened. And I just really want to tell you how sorry I am, and that I'm gonna work on being better at that. Has anyone ever had an owner or a boss who has said that to them? It's it's rare, and and I think because it's rare, it's so amazing when it happens. And it's when a company has a leader like that, that's when you build a team that respects you. Teams respect leaders that can admit to being wrong and that can actually apologize. It builds trust. It forms rapport. It builds this level playing ground where we all get to play. We all get to play a piece in this amazing business that we're growing together. And you don't have to be perfect when you're an owner. I got caught in this trap where I tried to be perfect, and a lot of the time I felt like I was faking it until I made it, fake it till you make it. I did it as a stylist, and then I did it as an owner. And it's just like, when you try and be perfect, it's when you mess up. It's like, just mess up and admit that you're learning, and people will respect an owner like that so much more than the tyrant owner that pretends like they're doing everything perfectly and dismisses when they mess up, sweeps it under the rug, doesn't acknowledge it, pretends like it didn't happen, or tries to cover it up with some other way of being, either like you're being super nice because you messed up somewhere else. Like, just cut the crap and admit that you messed up and apologize and move forward and get better. It is so helpful for a culture when the leader steps into their leadership like that. So be willing to admit when you're wrong and apologize. And one of the biggest things, I would say this is probably the biggest thing if you are growing a team: communication. Communication is, I would say, the most important thing. Over communication with your team. Letting them know like where you're at, how you feel about certain situations. If they mess up, having that quick, open communication. Like in my salon, we had a rule that was within 24 hours. Don't let something go past or beyond 24 hours, because what happens is something upsets you. You get upset about it, and you're like, oh, I'm so busy, I can't talk to them right now. And then, a day goes by and you have time to sort of settle, and you're like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I'll just sweep it under the rug. I'm not going to have this hard conversation. I'm just going to sweep it under the rug. And what happens is you do that so many times, and there becomes this energy of like passive aggressiveness, because you start getting resentful. The team player knows that something's not right, but they're not sure what they did wrong. And then they're insecure, and then they're mad at you because you're not, like, there's this unsaid bad energy, and it messes everything up. If you've been through this situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When there's unsaid communication that's lingering, it just becomes a cancer in the culture. So open communication is always so much better. And that's what I was reminded of today whenever I was listening to my client talk about a situation that she was going through, a challenge that she was going through, and just how beautifully she handled it. Time after time after time, within 24 hours, she had tough conversations that were necessary to establish the boundaries and to establish the culture of this beautiful business that she's building. And ultimately, what she decided is that this person wasn't a good fit. And it didn't make either one of them right or wrong. It just meant that they were not a good fit for each other. But the open communication meant that there was never anything unsaid. There was never a surprise. There was never anything that was lingering underneath. Communication always lets people know where you stand. And so because she was open in her communication, this relationship, this working relationship that they were both in, didn't go beyond its expiration, meaning, she probably could have brushed it off, and the stylist could have brushed off some things, and it could have lasted maybe another 6 months, but they would have continued to butt heads and both parties would have been kind of miserable in it. And so why are we going to do that to ourselves? So this is a perfect example of how being open and having open communication can actually excel you forward faster. So now both of them have gone their separate ways, and both of them are going to do just fine and excel faster because they're gone their separate ways. So where in your salon and where with your team do you have to have open communication? And this is really valuable with like long-time team members or new team members when you're training and developing them, like always being transparent and open and honest. This is when things are left unsaid, it just know that that's energy, that it doesn't just disappear and dissipate. That energy stays with both people. And so getting it out and talking about the things that you need to talk about really help you move faster, move forward faster. So just to recap, I hope I wasn't all over the place for you guys today, but to recap, these are just 5 qualities. There's many more, obviously, but some of the most important things based off my conversations today that I really am walking away with for myself moving forward, and just was sharing with all of my salon owner listeners and really stylists as well, because this goes for you when you're working just with clients as well. You know, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows behind the chair. We know this. Like, we love what we do most of the time, 90% of the time, it's amazing. There's always going to be that 10% where you're handling a client, a mess up, a hiccup, you don't have the right color, you don't have the right tool, 2 clients showed up at the same time, somebody canceled last minute. It's not always perfect. And so, number 1, look at challenges as teachers. What can I learn from this right now? What am I learning in this moment? What lesson can I take away from this? What am I learning? So look at your challenges as teachers. Number 2 is always be willing to take the blame. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to take ownership. It's easy to point the finger. It's easy to say this person did that. That's their fault. Oh my God, she's so this. But it's hard to point that finger to yourself and say, what part did I play in this? What could have I done better? And so number 2 is always be willing to take the blame, because when you do that, you're growing. When you take ownership and say, oh, what part did I play? What shift could I take in this? Like, what could I have done differently to actually make this go better? And when you're willing to do that, you're going to grow, and which means your business and your team is going to grow faster too. Number 3 is your results are your feedback. So ask yourself just simply, am I happy with my results right now? If so, like, where am I happy with my results? And so what is working, and what results am I not happy with right now? And what am I willing to learn from that? What feedback is this giving me right now? And really be willing to ask yourself those questions. And number 4 is, I think I missed this one. I missed number 4. Okay. Number 4 is to be open. Be open. So if you're going to put yourself in this place where you're taking ownership of everything and you're saying, okay, like, well, what can I learn from this? The 4th thing is to be open to ideas, be open to perspectives, be open to change, be open to new concepts, like be open that your way may not be the best way. And that's really, really hard, because typically if you're an owner, you're already a very self-motivated person. You're somebody who has bold ideas and probably maybe type A a bit. And so it's hard sometimes to admit that maybe our way is not the best way. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I can learn from my assistant what I could do better. Maybe I can take this piece of advice from this person who's saying this because they're actually having really great results and I'm not. So maybe what they're saying is true and maybe what I've been doing isn't. And so there's this place of just being really open and unattached to what that means about you. Doesn't mean that you're a bad leader. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a salon. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be growing a team. Doesn't mean that you can't be massively, abundantly successful in your business. Just means that there might be a better way. So don't take it as I'm doing everything wrong. Take it as there might be a better way. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. And there's never, it doesn't matter how much you learn about something, you're never going to know everything. You're never going to be the best at anything. Like there's always room for growth. In fact, when you hit that point, you're like, oh, I actually think that I know everything. I actually think I know everything there is to know about being a salon owner. I don't think there's anything else I can learn. I just think this is it. Well, if you ever hit that place, first of all, call me because I just want to know everything from you. And second of all, well, what's next for you then? If you know everything and you're the best, then what's next for you? It's actually when it starts to get really, really boring. So always be a student, always be learning. This is what successful people do. This is what great leaders do. They're always learning how to become even better at what they're already doing. So be open. And then the last thing is the communication and being willing to apologize and admit to when you're wrong. This is really just about being humble and being vulnerable. Vulnerability is a huge asset to leaders. You think about, I just was thinking about sports players and how, even people who are in the pros, the NBA, the NHL, NFL, like, they are the best of the best. I mean, they're the elite. They are like elite athletes. If you see what these people do, they don't ever stop learning. They don't ever stop taking mentorship. They don't ever stop training their bodies. Like they're the best. They could quit. They could totally not do the things that they do, but they push beyond. And the greats of the greats, the people who make it into like the Hall of Fame, the greats, they push even further beyond that. Like the people who push themselves, they even push further than that. And they become like the Hall of Famers, right? The people who just never stopped. And I think the quality that they all have is that they don't ever stop learning. They don't ever stop becoming better at what they do. And I think there's a level of humbleness and vulnerability in what they do. Because it's like, what can I be doing better? Like, where am I not hitting the mark? Where can I improve? This level of humbleness and vulnerability is so attractive. This is why people love those sports players. They, respect them, whether you like the team that they're on or not, you can respect them. I am thinking like Tom Brady is popping in my head. I'm not even a sports person, so I don't know why this is all popping into me, but I just think sports are very relevant for the topic of leadership because it takes a great leader to be a great athlete, to be, in the Olympics, to be in a pro sport. It just takes this massive amount of leadership, which is ownership, which is taking radical ownership of all of your results. And I think that's really where I want to end today, is be willing to take radical ownership of all of your results, good and bad. And just know that when you take radical ownership, the possibilities are truly endless. You can go as far as you want to, as long as you're willing to take ownership of your results along the way. These are the salon owners that are going to take this industry by storm. These are the owners that are going to be taking this industry to the next level. Step into your leadership, whether you're a one-man show or you have tons of people in your salon. Leadership is for everybody. Leadership is for the new stylist. Leadership is for the owners. Leadership is for the people that have multiple locations. Leadership is for educators that are out there. We all have the opportunity to step into leadership, into the best version of ourselves. So take this podcast episode and use it as fuel to really create the best year and most transformational year of growth for yourself. Take these things that I'm saying, they're so simple, they're simple. They're not easy, but they're simple. But willing to ask yourself the questions and make this year one of the best and most transformational years of growth for yourself. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day.